The battle over the Second Amendment is now mainly being fought at the state level. One state with a lot going on these days is Nevada. Joining us live from the Nevada Firearms Coalition is Don Turner. How's it going, Don?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. What about yourself?
Not too bad.
Awesome. So tell us about Nevada Firearm Coalition.
Well, we're an NRA state association for Nevada, and we started 5 years ago because the other state association went defunct. We have a foundation, we have the regular coalition, and we also have a political action committee. So as you mentioned, there's a lot of problems in Nevada with gun laws, so we found out we had to get really involved in the political side of it.
Gotcha. So what are some of the bills that you guys are involved with these days?
Well, right now at the legislature, we have, well, first off, we just got done licking our wounds with a big fight with Michael Bloomberg. He put $22 million in this state to get comprehensive background checks, as he called them. And the funny part about it is they did it through a ballot initiative. And the law says, state law says that once you have a ballot initiative, you can't change it for 3 years. Well, his really high-powered, fancy attorneys screwed up in the fact that Nevada is what they call a point of contact state, and the FBI will only take background checks from the state of Nevada and not from dealers. There's only 13 states that are set up that way.
Really?
So we're a point of contact state. So if you buy a gun in Nevada, you go to a dealer, they call the State Department of Public Safety, they check it against the state database, and then they also do it in front of the FBI. But the FBI will only talk to the state. So a dealer cannot go straight to the FBI. They won't take the calls. Well, Bloomberg's ballot initiative said that it had to go through the dealer. So the FBI has told Nevada that the law is no good. So now they spent $22 million and passed a law that can't be enforced and it can't be implemented. So we're kind of chuckling about that. We kept telling them it was unenforceable, but they wouldn't listen to us. So they had to pay for a bad mistake. So we kind of been enjoying that. But as a result of Bloomberg's background initiative, the majority of the legislature became Democratic this year. So we're monitoring, and also we're involved in firearms and in conservation if it's related to firearms, like hunting issues.
Yeah.
So there's 21 bills at the legislature right now. We're only supporting 6 of them, and we're opposed to 13 of them. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I need to turn it off. And we're opposed to 16 of them, which is 61% of the bills are no good that we're opposing. So we've had to hire a full-time lobbyist up in Carson City, and we have our PAC. We have a PAC management team, and we're staying right on top of it. We're testifying. And one of the things that happened was we were able to get a grant through the NRA for what we call CapWiz. And what this program does is allow us to reach out to gun rights people in Nevada. We send alerts to them, and then they can push a button and send emails to all their legislatures. So in the last 3 sessions we've been doing this, we got a reputation of being a big dog with a big bite at the state legislature.
That's awesome.
That's kind of where we are. But some of the bills that we have are pretty bad. The legislature only meets every other year. So they have 120 days to get everything done. So it's
we know
just
how efficient legislatures are.
Yeah, well, thank God. And but what happens is they go crazy. So they're meeting like 24/7. So if you don't have a lobbyist right there, stuff happens you don't know about.
Gotcha.
So one of the bills 2 years ago, we had a castle doctrine that said that if somebody breaks into your house by force and you shoot them, you have criminal protection from criminal liability, but not civil. So we added civil. And this year, the legislature tried to strip out the civil protection. And through our alerts and everything else, the outrage was so great, the legislatures actually dropped that bill. So we were able to preserve our civil protection if you have to get involved in a deadly shooting.
Did you understand what the motivation was behind why they would fight to keep that, to basically remove that from the law? That protection?
I think there were two reasons. I think one was a misunderstanding, that they thought that was for all self-defense in Nevada.
Gotcha.
And the second reason is a lot of the legislatures are attorneys, and they're private practice attorneys. And not that I'm being skeptical, but I think they might have saw some potential for some economic gain, shall I say?
No, really?
Really. Not to be charitable, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes my cohorts can be a little opportunistic, to say the least. Gotcha. Yeah, and I asked that question just because, you know, sometimes, you know, that kind of surprised me when you said, you know, maybe it was just kind of misinformation about confusion with respect to, you know, what it actually applied to. Because sometimes I think even me, I can kind of go at the helm and I'm like, why would you want to do that? And then it's like, well, we thought this. And it's like, oh, no, that's not how it works.
That's right.
So that, you know, that's very interesting to pick up on.
The thing is the laws are very specifically written. And if you're going to be an advocate, you have to understand the laws and how they're written and also how they apply. Now, I was a peace officer for 30 years before I moved to Nevada, so I had to learn to read the laws and interpret them. And I was in management, so I actually had to write laws.
Gotcha.
So I'm not an attorney, but when I look at a law, I can say, hey, this applies to this, it doesn't apply to that. And where they got confused is the castle doctrine basically says your castle is your home.
Yeah.
And then there's what they call the stand your ground laws, which means you have a duty to not retreat.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they were mixing the two together.
Gotcha.
And when we cleared it up that this civil protection was only for in your house, then they lost the reason, because what was quoted to us is they thought that the Trayvon Martin thing is they should have an ability to sue.
Gotcha.
So we were able to separate the two issues and get that bill killed. But that's an example of staying on top of something. And we have another bill we don't like. One of our philosophies, and it should be everybody's philosophies, you shouldn't lose your rights unless you have a day in court. It has to be court adjudicated.
Absolutely.
They have a couple bills now that if you have a restraining order put out against you, it allows the cops to seize your guns and take away your Second Amendment rights with just a restraining order. And we're fighting that because you don't have a day in court.
Yeah, I can get a restraining order on a cat if I wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, and so I absolutely agree with that in that sense. Unfortunately, we've run out of time.
That's fine.
You know, but Don, would love to have you back on to talk about some more of the efforts that you guys are engaged in, and please don't hesitate to join us again.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate your time. It was nice meeting you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Don.
Bye now.
Thank you for joining us today on Seeing Live. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern on NRA TV. Hope you will too. I'm Colion Noir, and I'm out.